Hello everyone, this is AJBYGO. It is the day after, but I have competed in YCS 12, Yu-Gi-Oh! Quarantine Series, MBT's tournament. I played zombies again, and I did a very interesting take on what I think zombies would require to kind of be meta. I ended up finishing 3-2. I ended up dropping after the second loss because it was only going to be a top 8 and not a top 16, so I was already out. I kind of wish I had stuck around, but I had already been up for like 30 hours because I don't get off my job until 3 in the morning and it was at 10 o'clock. So I came home, built a deck, and then got like a 2-hour nap before getting up and doing the tournament. So by the time it was going into that 6th round, I was pretty tired, so I just dropped instead. But I am now going to look at the deck profile. We have the Dark Magician and the Red Eyes Black Dragon. That's for the Red Eyes Fusion package. The last deck I actually did of this was a much more Dragoon-centric one. It was for the YCS 11 that MBT held, and I also bubbled on that one, but it was much more centric around dangers and going into Verte and just going into Red Eyes Fusion as fast as possible with minimal back row. I think the only I was only running 6 traps, I think. I was Imperm and Rivalry, and the rest of it were hand traps and like just stall cards or dangers. Like that was pretty much it. Anything that was zombie centric. So we have the 2 Balerdroch, that's pretty common. 1 Jack-o-Bolan, which is pretty good for very long games. Especially with the zombie world, obviously it can cause graveyard disruption by taking a monster completely. It's not even banished, it's not even in the graveyard, it's on your field. We have the 2 Banshee for accessing zombie world. We have the 2 Gozuki. This was at 3, but I was having like, I wanted to cut this down to as little as possible, even though I'm still at 46 cards in the main deck. The 1 Mezuki, which is absolutely fine. There are a few occasions where I could find myself needing more than 1, but the issue is this card is awful to draw. It is bad to draw. Without dangers, it's really bad to draw. We have the 3 Solitaire, the 3 Uni-Zombie. Obviously, this is a zombie deck. You cannot like play zombies without these cards, really. Uni-Zombie is one of the craziest cards I think ever printed. Then, to line it up, we have the 1 Glow Up Bloom and 3 Ash Blossom. I think this is a pretty solid zombie lineup. I mean, I've been a fan of zombies simply for the reason that Balerdroch is, I think, the best like boss monster ever printed for a deck, for the main deck. Like, it is absolutely crazy. It's 2 pieces of interaction, comes back every standby phase if there's any field spell in any field spell zone. Obviously, it's infinitely more powerful if you have Zombie World on the board. And to our spells, there's only 8 of them. The 1 copy of Red Eyes Fusion, the 1 Foolish Burial, 2 Cosmic Cyclone in the main, because last time at YCS 11 I got bodied by prank kids on stream simply because they dropped Mystic Mine and I could not do anything about it. 1 Pot of Acquisitiveness. This one kind of is very interesting. I simply ran it because I know that the Virtual World monster is a Macrocosmos. A lot of people are running D-Shifter to counter that, so I didn't want to just lose all my resources. Plus people are running Crow, and they tend to hit your Balerdroch. So there is a few occasions where you would not have access to any more Balerdroch because they're banished. Especially with the card I'm going to bring up, the Ice Dragon's Prison. They can both end up being banished, and you kind of want to wait to recycle that. Plus, it's kind of a deck out option because on these online tournaments, we don't have time. Onto the traps, it's a much more extensive trap lineup. It's very stun-based. A lot of the games that I've played went very long because you can simply stun your opponent for so long. This 2 Shiranui style Swallow Slash, I actually didn't draw them the entire tournament, and I'll get back to that on what I wish I would have played instead. The 3 Imperms, and then 2 of each of Ice Dragon's Prison and Dogmatika Punishment. I think both of these cards are absolutely fantastic. Dogmatika Punishment might lock you out of the extra deck, but it's essentially a card that says pop 2 cards on the field, because you just send a Tis and you just pop 2. This card is actually insane in zombies, because if you have Zombie World on field, every card is a target, because every card's a zombie. I think it synergizes super well, and I'm probably going to keep it in any zombie deck that I run, simply because I think it's that good. The 3-dimensional barrier. I think this card was an absolutely crucial piece. It was absolutely fantastic. One of the rounds that I played was against Fluffle, and I was able to call Fusion. So it hit some of these rogue decks. So I stunned him out of being able to fuse, and I pretty much cleaned up the game from there. Rivalry of Warlords, you know, for the Zombie World Rivalry lock, if you know what that is, this turns everything into zombies, and Rivalry says you can only control one type, so if you're not playing zombies, you can't summon more than one monster on your side of the field at one time. And 3 Solemn Judgment, it is, you know, one of the best cards. It can negate a summon, it can negate spell and traps, so they try removing your Zombie World, or, you know, like Lightning Storm, evenly matched, you can just negate them and not have to worry about it. For the extra deck, I am on Mechaba, and that's simply because if I face a Dogmatika person and they drop Maximus, I have the Nova and I have the Mechaba. I have 1 Red Eyes Dragoon, 1 Nethersoul Dragon, the Zombie Fusion, 1 Starving Venom Fusion Dragon, 2 Natis, there's the Nova, Borrelsword, Phoenix, 3 Sucker, 1 Avendread Savior, a Predaplant Verte Anaconda, and a Link Karibo. It's a pretty standard lineup. Yeah, I mean, pretty standard. Most of this is either Dogmatika or stuff that I'm personally going to use myself. And in the extra deck, I'm running 2 Santa Claus. It was because it was a Christmas tournament. It can be replaced with any kaiju, probably Gamma Seal, because, you know, sometimes you have trouble outing Dragoon, or if they, I faced a Subterra player, and they could have dropped Awakening the Dragon on me because they had it in their deck. They just didn't see it, thank God. But this can help clean up any monster in the game. Galaxy Cyclone, so if I'm playing a stun deck, the whole theory behind this was, and it actually worked, it came up in my Subterra game, that if games are going to be going on long, I need value from my cards. So Galaxy Cyclone can target a set spell or trap on the field and destroy it, and then the turn afterwards you can banish it and target a face-up spell and trap on the field and destroy it. So it's essentially 2 MSTs in 1 card for long games, which I think if you're playing a stun deck is absolutely vital, because I hit a face down there, can be only once, popped it, and then the next turn I was able to pop their face up Hidden City, so they couldn't get any more value off of flipping cards face up, and then just Mystic Mine. That's another reason I played it. And I had 3 Lightning Storm, the Harpy Feather Duster. Those are also very much Mystic Mine, like backer removal kind of stuff. 2 Super Poly, those are for the Zombie Fusion, Draco Nethersoul Dragon, and Starving Venom Fusion. I ran 2 Prohibition because this deck loses to Eldritch, and I think the funniest thing in the world is if you can drop Prohibition and called Eldritch the Golden Lord, they literally can't do almost anything in their deck. You will probably win before they find a different way to remove this. It's very funny. And 3 evenly matched, so your typical glowing second package. You know, this is I think, kind of an innovative way to do this. There were 2 things that I wish I would have changed. Infinite Impermanence, while it can hit a lot of things in this, in almost any deck, it's kind of like Ash Blossom, there will always be a card you can negate. If you really want to go up against meta this format, I think instead of that, you should be running Droll and Lockbird, because it hits the Drytrons, it'll hit Dinos, it'll hit VW. I think Droll and Lockbird is incredible if you're going up against meta decks. Besides the Swallow Slashes, I think I should have run Torrential Tribute. I know that it was a card, I already knew of it, I just decided not to put it in. I think that was a mistake on my part. Especially if you have Zombie World already established and Balerdroch on field, your Balerdroch will be coming back, which is even better because you'll get recursion from your monsters while you might blow up your opponent's entire board. Torrential Tribute, I think, is very, very good for this format if you're playing a slower deck, but I also think that there are certain decks where it's not that good in. This is an occasion where if I fire off Torrential Tribute too fast, Balerdroch won't be able to get his full value, which is always something you want. But, I mean, I really wish I would have played it. Those are really the only things that I wish I would have changed. So I ended up over the course of the tournament facing a VW player and Infernoble Eldritch. Infernoble Eldritch was my longest set of games where it simply, like, it came down to Gearfried beatdown. Like, we each had, like, very little established. We were under a lot of back row. It was very long. So, realistically, I think this is the best that this deck has looked in a long time. It's a rogue deck, obviously. It's gonna struggle against actual meta components, but you can actually hang in there with them. I actually outed his entire side of the Eldritch before he had to go into Infernoble, and the issue there beforehand was I faced VW, Virtual Worlds, and they're difficult, man. I'm not gonna lie, because they can macro you, and that really sucks. But it also came down to the fact that the dude desired until he had 6 cards left in deck and still drew Lulu. So that was very fun. He killed me there. But I beat Subterror, which is obviously a good rogue meta threat, and I also beat Fluffle, which, you know, are also a good rogue choice. I think this is genuinely one of the best zombies has looked in a long time, and like I said, I don't think I did it perfectly. I actually in the tournament I misplayed a bunch, but I think this is the best the deck is going to look, and I think that a deck like this could steal some tops. I'm not gonna lie. So I hope you enjoy the deck profile. I hope to see innovations off of it, and I really want to see what people think about what I've done here, and also give me ideas on how to change it in the future. This has been AJBYGO. See you next time.